Eulogy to my mother, Margaret Ross. Having produced 5 boys, my mother wished for a priest. Sadly, that wish was never fulfilled. But 2 priests at a Requiem Mass, that's a result. 42 years ago, my young and beautiful mother gave birth to her 8th child, Michael. She was 35 years old. 6 months previously, her whole world had collapsed around her. My father John was tragically killed in a road traffic accident. The strong-willed, hard-working and devoted husband, whom she relied on for everything, was wiped out of her life. Now I'm sure that, like all my brothers and sisters, that when I've told this tragic story to anyone in the past, that they have invariably responded that your mother must have been a strong person. She wasn't. Yes, she picked herself up, and just as we are experiencing just now, family and friends rallied round in wonderful support. But that support doesn't stay for too long, and she had to get on with single-handedly bringing up 8 children. The oldest, Anne-Marie, was only 10 years old. No, she wasn't a strong person. She was too nice, too vulnerable, too disorganised. As one of the oldest, I was allowed to stay up the latest. I saw her crying in her quiet, alone moments, fretting at her loneliness and worrying about finances. In such an environment, you would expect that it would take disciplined and organised routines to structure such a large family's function. But that wasn't in place. She took each day as it came, dealt with problems as they faced, and coped by forcing herself not to be concerned about other people's opinions of her efforts. She gave us a wonderful childhood, and I know that we are all as proud of her as she was of each and every one of us. She loved each of us in equal measure, and with only one exception, she got that love straight back throughout her life. She wasn't a mother who had to harp on or give constant guidance to any of us. A kind of disorganised order somehow manifested itself in our house. We were all well fed, as I can testify, clean and smartly turned out, and times were always happy. I don't know how she did it. We were the Icy's best customer. We bought more Alpine ginger than anyone else we knew. In our street, we were the first to have wall-to-wall carpets, and we were also the first to have a colour telly. We never missed a school trip, and we always had a fortnight in Millport. As if having 8 Waynes wasn't enough, in any given night we could have staying over McLaughlin's, McEwen's, McCafferty's, Canning's, Fleming's, the list was endless, all top and tailing in the bunk beds. And to their adulthood, these pals called my mother Maros. Simple, basic guidance was all that my mother employed to keep order in our house. No swearing, no hitting, no playing in the street with your school uniform. Wash your face. And the only thing which seriously mattered, go to Mass. What colour were the priest's vestments? She would say. Most of you will know that my mother was a great singer. She honed her singing skills when we would all climb into bed with her at the weekend. Mum, 6 of us, top and bottom, 2 in the cot. And she would sing to us. She always had the capacity to sing a song right through which we'd never heard before. We would always encourage her to sing our favourite sad songs. I'm Nobody's Child. There's a saddle hanging on the wall. And the tears would be streaming down our faces. Just as they were when she sang at a wedding or a party. Her favourite, My Way. Everyone knew that she was living a life that was full, and she was doing it her way. When we got older and introduced her to our girlfriends or boyfriends, she would sit us out right into the early hours of the morning, talking a load of rubbish, but she refused to leave the living room until your girlfriend was safely tucked up in bed with her sister. She did not possess great expectations for any of us. She did not drive us to study, but we did. And I know that she was proud of our career achievements. She did not particularly encourage that we took sport, but we all excelled in competitive sport. It typifies her if I can tell you that when I called her when I was 19 years old and said, "Ma, guess what? I've been picked to play in the Scotland team's trial at Murrayfield. It's on the telly. There'll be thousands at the game. Andy Irvine, Mighty Mouse, Brunfie Troon, they'll all be playing." "Oh son, that's nice. I'm pleased for you. You'll never guess who's died." As if fate was not dealt her a raw enough deal, my dear sister Anne-Marie was diagnosed with a malignant tumour at the tender age of 14. Throughout her shortened and tragic life, Anne-Marie was nursed to recovery by my mother through 3 traumatic brain operations, each of which reduced her physical capacity, but not her great spirit, her humour, her generosity. They drove each other up the wall, but they needed each other, and they'll be pleased to reform an old partnership. God help God. Her faith and good nature again saw her through all these trials and never took her character. In recent years, she was a terrible woman for frustratingly calling us late at night, just at the critical stage of a Linda LaPlante murder mystery or a Champions League match. Despite her insistence that she was only on for a quickie, she would blether for at least an hour. I recall one evening that Paul, Stephen and Michael were in my house when she called, and we passed the phone to each other in 15-minute periods, each just saying yes, aha. She still didn't twig that she'd spoken with all of us. She was a loving and affectionate gran to her 13 grandchildren, and they never tired of hearing her tell them that she loved them. They all particularly enjoyed visiting her, where she would bestow them with a load of rubbish from QVC, the shopping channel. "Dad, my gran gave me 2 towels, a wind-up torch and a garden gnome." The charity shops will miss her. If I may ask you to spare a thought in your prayers for our brother Michael. He's unable to take the comfort which you all are extending to us. On the best advice we could give, he rushed home from New Zealand to be at my mother's bedside. He stayed there for 13 days before having to return home. And as he left, he knew that he would never see his mother again. Much is said about the demise of our health service, but money could not buy the committed approach to which the staff of the Western's coronary care unit applied to their duty. As a family, we are most grateful for their professional and caring service. They allowed my mother to leave us in peace and with dignity. In keeping with the life that she led, the staff nurse Lorraine told us that she was the least complaining patient she had ever nursed. I'd like to say thank you to G&T McColgan for their funeral services. Thank you to Father Doohan, and thank you to Father Tatalia for this very, very fitting service. Thanks to my aunts and uncles and my cousins for your support and concern throughout my mother's illness. In their selfish and thoughtful concern for us, it's easy to lose focus on the fact that Neil and Veronica have lost their dear big sister. Thank you to everyone who came to support the Rosses, and thank you for saying farewell to my mother. Thank you to the good people of St Margaret's, our neighbours in Linvale, and particularly those who looked out for my mother in these last few years. namely the Guthries and the Hugheses. Thank you for your flowers and all the messages of sympathy. I took many text messages of sympathy from friends in these last few days. Of course, it used to be Mascav's fathers. I guess that misses the church out. One was from an old friend with whom I used to play rugby. I recalled that he was one of these lucky people who would get inebriated very easily. And he was famed for saying at a party or at an event, "Whoever brought me here will have to take me home." God brought my mother here, and now he's taking her home.